station. This is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
I am ready for the event.
Colorado Mesa University, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Colorado Mesa University. How do you hear me?
I hear you pretty good.
Okay, that should work. How's it up there? I'm going to hand you over to our first questioner, Hannah.
Hi, my name is Hannah. My question for you is, after spending a year viewing the Earth through your window, what message or advice would you have for the students who are our future leaders?
I think, the advice I would have for anyone that wants to be a leader in our country, or for that matter around the world, would be to pick a career field that you're interested in, and because there are a lot of interesting things out there, and work hard at what you've chosen, and do the best job that you can, and pick things that you're passionate about, because I think if you do that, you're gonna do a better job at them, and you'll contribute to society more. So I think the best advice I would give is just choose something that interests you, and then work hard at it.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Ryan Benson, and my question for you is, what is the weirdest thing you've seen in space?
The weirdest thing I've seen in space, huh? Interesting. So, I guess you're assuming maybe by looking out the window, and not inside here. There's not, this is it's an interesting place. It's in some ways it's kind of magical, with everything floating. But I wouldn't say there's much weirdness here. Out the window, certainly, there are times where you see some, phenomena with, the background of stars and planets and stuff as they pass through the atmosphere and the horizon that look kind of strange, but as they come up in the sky, they start to look normal again. So I think also I've seen some pretty spectacular things with looking out the window. Certainly the aurora that we see sometimes. Actually, we're seeing a little bit of that right now, and it's affected by the activity of the sun, but also some of the rockets that have launched towards the space station. We've seen that from the space station, and also looks very impressive.
Question for you is, what have you learned about your body reacting and adapting to the harsh environment of space?
So, there are some things that go on with our physiology up here due to the microgravity environment mostly, and you lose bone mass and some muscle mass. Although we do have exercises that we try to prevent both of those things from occurring. There are effects on our immune system and our vision. And but one of the reasons we're here is to study those so we can learn more about them and develop ways to prevent them, or to do a better job at preventing them. So someday, maybe in your future, we can go on to Mars or other places that'll take much longer. And that's one of the reasons why my Russian colleague Mikhail Kornienko and I are up here for a whole year, is to try to better understand what's going on with our physiology and its the effects of space on us.
Okay, Morgan, it's your turn.
Hello, my name is Morgan and Stacy. My question for you is, what is the #1 world in space?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? The number one what?
Number one rule in space.
The number one rule, I think you're saying, is that true?
Yeah.
I have never been asked that question before. I've been asked a lot of questions. Let me think. Be nice to other people and eat all your vegetables.
Good job. All right, go ahead and ask your question. Don't forget to get up close to this. Closer. There you go. Hello, my name is Faith Fraley. My question for you is, now that humans have lived on the space station continuously for 15 years, what are the plans for the future of spaceflight?
So NASA is building a new rocket and a new spacecraft that will be able to take us out of low Earth orbit. And currently we're working on plans towards going to an asteroid. There are also other plans that we've been discussing for decades now, since people have basically, since people have flown in space, we've been talking about going to Mars, and I hope in the future those plans will be more solidified. But I think between what NASA's doing in the forms of developing a vehicle for exploration and to go to other places, maybe the moon, maybe Mars, to retrieve and do science with an asteroid is also part of the plan. Like I said, there's also some very exciting things going on in the in the commercial space sector where NASA has has partnered or basically hired certain companies to provide commercial services to the International Space Station, and we have a vehicle here from a company that built this resupply craft called Cygnus, and there's also companies like SpaceX that are developing, in addition to unmanned vehicles, also the ability to take astronauts to and from the International Space Station or other places in space. So I think the future of space, both in the commercial realm, but also within the government and what NASA's doing, is pretty exciting.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Haynes. My question for you is, what inspired you to risk your life to go to space and provide information about Earth?
Well, for one, I think it's important. I think what we're doing here is, pushing the boundaries of what people are capable of doing from a technological standpoint, from a the human performance standpoint, as far as living in this environment, which is pretty harsh. So, the reason I would risk basically everything is, as far as like a personal safety and personal health perspective, is because I do believe in it and I think it's important. And I think by doing things like this, it provides a stimulus to our economy and causes us to develop things that are we couldn't even imagine years ago. For instance, when we made the computers to land on the moon, we had to make them small and powerful, and by continuing to make small and powerful computers, today you have a computer in your pocket, perhaps in the form of your telephone, that is much more it's something that the men that walked on the moon couldn't even have imagined. So I think that's why I do this. Plus it's also pretty exciting.
Hello, my name is Brody, and my question for you is, what are the procedures if you lose communication with Earth?
So we have a pretty sophisticated communication system, and we do have procedures that cover that. We have various ways to talk to the ground, and our systems are redundant. So that means if one of them fails, we have a completely identical other one that we can use. And then if both of those fail, we have a other system that we can communicate that is somewhat different. And we also have the ability to communicate with a VHF radio that's on the Russian segment of the space station when we're over ground sites, not through our normal way, which is through satellites. There's also a ham radio on board that we could really use if we had no other alternative. I've had situations up here when we have lost communication with the ground, and we've worked through the procedures and gotten the ability to talk to the ground back. At times, it hasn't even been issues with the space station. It's been issues with the the hardware on the ground that allow us to communicate with them. So we have NASA's pretty good at having a lot of backups to the backup. So we're in pretty good shape.
Hello, my name is Alex. My question for you is, how does the vacuum of space affect communication?
So a lot of the communication, I'll answer this in two ways. There's the radio communication, and those electromagnetic signals travel great in the vacuum of space. There is no problem at all. And, that's how a cell phone might go from your hand to a cell phone tower, which would eventually go to a satellite dish, which would go to a satellite and maybe back to the ground. And when it's going through to the satellite, it goes through the vacuum of space, and it just works just fine. However, in a vacuum there is no air, so sound waves wouldn't travel. If there was an astronaut, on the outside of this module in a spacesuit, and I banged on the side of it, there's no way that he or she would ever be able to hear me, because that noise, those sound waves would not travel through a vacuum, because sound waves need something to travel on, essentially, and that is air. So so from our perspective, it works pretty well, because we use radio communication when we're outside, and we wouldn't want to be outside the spacesuit anyway.
Hello, my name is Kai Stabilepsy.
And I'm Titus Shaneman.
Our question for you is, how does it feel to float 24/7?
Sometimes do you just want to put your feet down and walk?
Yeah, so, floating is definitely fun, but it makes a lot of things we do more complicated and harder. You definitely, over time, the more you're here, you definitely get better at it, and you can move around very easily with your feet, and it's almost in a lot of ways like, I can kind of walk around the space station, but I definitely miss a lot of things that gravity provide for us. The other thing about gravity is that you might not expect is, because you're holding yourself up against gravity all day long, when it's time to go to sleep and you go lie down, or even just sitting down on a comfortable couch, it's relaxing. Here, this position I'm in now, talking to you or doing some other activity, is the same kind of position I'm going to be in when it's time to go to sleep. And you just close your eyes and try to go to sleep. So there's no real change in how you feel from a comfort or relaxation perspective. It's all the same all the time. You're always just floating. So there are some things about gravity that you might not think of that make gravity pretty nice.
Hello, my name is Hannah Kuhn. My question for you is, since station is a microgravity environment, can you explain how it feels to breathe through Earth's atmosphere and full of gravity?
Can you ask that one more time?
Since station is a microgravity environment, can you explain how it feels to re-enter Earth's atmosphere and the pull of the gravity?
I think your question has to do with the space station re-entering the Earth's atmosphere.
Just you.
How does it feel when you re-enter?
When we re-enter the Earth, I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. How does it feel when we re-enter? So, yeah, we're floating around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in my case, for almost a year up here. And when you re-enter the atmosphere, you definitely feel gravity's full effect. We're going 17,500 miles an hour, and we have to slow down. And the way the capsule slows down is with friction hitting the atmosphere, and because of that, there's a lot of deceleration. So we'll feel 5-6 times maybe the force of gravity as we're re-entering the atmosphere in the Soyuz, and it makes it hard to move. It's kind of hard to breathe for a while, but and then when you get on the ground, you definitely feel pretty heavy for a while, but after a few days, you get used to it, and it starts feeling normal again.
Hello, my name is Riker Harshan. My question for you is, if you had the choice to live on Mars for most of your life, would you do it, and why?
So if we're talking about Mars, that was somehow what I think is referred to as terraforming. In other words, you take Mars and you affect its, what minimal atmosphere it has, and somehow make it into an Earth-like atmosphere, then I would definitely consider it. But if you're asking if I would go to Mars like it is now and live in some kind of a habitat on the surface, that would probably be very similar to this space station. And when you went outside, you'd have to be in, a spacesuit, probably not exactly like the ones we wear when we go on spacewalks here, but something that would protect you from the fact that there is very little atmosphere on Mars, very low atmospheric pressure, a atmosphere that is not, we cannot breathe and survive. I would say, no, I wouldn't want to spend, most of the rest of my life there. I definitely, consider visiting, but I wouldn't, want to give up everything Earth has to offer to live inside of a habitat for the rest of my life.
Hello, my name is Deidre. My question for you is, what were your goals when you were in middle and high school?
When I was in middle school and high school, I was interested in being a medical doctor, but my grades and my study habits were never quite good enough at that time. And then, later on, after I graduated from high school, I kind of very quickly developed an interest in being a Navy pilot and flying airplanes off of aircraft carriers. And as soon as I got interested in doing that, it really motivated me to do much better in school and to kind of get moving in the right direction with a sense of purpose. And time's flown by, and now it's been over 30 years, and I'm still going at it in the aerospace business, and still enjoying it, and feel like it's really been a great privilege to be able to do this job and also to serve my country in the United States Navy.
So she should say thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for talking with us today. It was really incredible.
Well, it was my pleasure. I guess you guys are, if you don't have any more questions, yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation today, but I think we might have a little bit more time.
I don't know, we'll wait.
What are you going to say? More time? Keep going. Then.
Okay, we'll get you another kid. Come on up. All right, go ahead, Joel. Hello, Scott Kelly. My name is Joel Doherty. My question for you is, can you describe your everyday schedule?
So I wake up, we have a morning conference where we talk to the ground about the plan of the day, and I usually get up about an hour to 45 minutes before that. I don't get up at our normal wake time when they say for us to get up, which is 6. I usually sleep in a little bit. I go to sleep later, too, than I'm supposed to. Don't tell anybody. But we do that conference, and then we have, a bunch of different activities, and it depends on the day. Like today we were working on a carbon dioxide removal system we have. One of them was broken, and Tim Coper and I spent the day fixing that. And we don't know if it's fixed, but hopefully we'll find out here pretty soon. But sometimes you do science experiments. The day before, I spent a lot of time with this combustion rack here, putting some new fuel and igniters in it so it can do some great science on combustion technology and, understand the combustion process better and basic science. And sometimes we're doing medical tests. Recently we did yesterday, actually, while I was, working on other things, Russian cosmonauts were doing a spacewalk, and we have those occasionally too. So it's changes every day. That's one of the things that makes it, not get too routine. We exercise every day. Sometimes we do things like this, have the opportunity to talk to you guys. And then about, 7 o'clock at night, so we get up at, around 6:30 in the morning, or at least I do, and then wrap up our day at around 7 p.m. and have another conference with the ground, and then supposed to go to sleep at about 9:30, but I generally don't.
We're going to just wave. All right, is that it?
Okay, we can just wave bye.
All right, everybody, wave bye-bye.
All right, we'll tell you bye, and thank you so much again for talking with us today.
We'll just wave bye. Thank you.
All right, my pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event.
Thank you, Colorado Mesa University. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communication.